crafty friends and doll lovers. I'm back today to show you how I made these doll sweaters using a pair of women's socks. I actually found these socks for $3 at the Target dollar spot, and I basically took out the pairs that I wanted to wear, and I'm going to make sweaters from the rest of the pack. So I'm going to wear this striped pair. So you need your one pair of socks, and you need a pattern. I am using the Free Liberty Jane pattern, and I will link that pattern below. It's specifically for a Girl for All Time dolls. And the pattern comes with the back pattern piece, the front pattern piece, and a short sleeve, which you'll see here that I actually lengthened the sleeve. So you're just going to take your pattern piece and fold out the hem, because we're going to use the finished cuff of the sock. We're going to take advantage of that and use that as the hem. So you're going to line the pattern hem up with the edge of the cuff, and you're going to line the center front pattern piece on the fold as indicated on the pattern. Now I use clips because it's easier to line it up and not distort the pattern, and just make sure, like I said, that you have the edge of the hem of the pattern lined up with the edge of the cuff, and make sure that you have the center front fold on the fold of the sock. And just pin that in place. And then you're going to take the back piece, and again, remember to fold out the hem because you don't need that portion of the pattern. And line that up with the cuff of the second sock and pin that in place. Now I took my rotary cutter and I'm cutting it out. Of course, you can use a pair of scissors if you're more comfortable using scissors here. And please be careful with the rotary cutter. And if you are a child, please have an adult do this for you. Now here you want to fold out that little piece here if you didn't fold it out ahead of time, so that you don't accidentally cut it off when you cut along the side seam of the pattern. And if you find that something did not get cut that should have gotten cut, just go back and cut it with your scissors, and if necessary, trim it to match the pattern. So you have your back pieces and your front piece cut out of the leg portion of the pair of socks. Now you're going to take your sleeve pattern and the remaining portion of each sock, which is the foot portion. Now you're going to have to cut this sock open so that you can lay it flat to lay out the sleeve. And I basically line the folds up. I open out the sock, line the folds up so that I essentially flatten out the toe of the sock. And this particular sock had a seam on the top of the foot, which I think a lot of socks do. So you can use that as a guideline to cut off the tip of the toe here. And then choose one of the folds to cut along. I use the back fold with the heel, and I cut along, so it would be the underside of the foot if you were wearing a sock. I cut along that fold. And if you get a sock that doesn't have the folds in it like this, it's helpful to press the sock flat ahead of time, Just watch your iron settings so you don't accidentally burn your sock. So I cut it open, and then you're going to lay it flat. And here would be a good time to take your steam iron and hit the sock so that you flatten it out. And then lay out your shoulder, I'm sorry, not your shoulder, your sleeve. So you're going to lay it out. Find a portion of the sock that doesn't have that's laying flat. It should be plenty. If you got a regular woman's full-length sock, it should be plenty of room for the sleeve. All right, and here I've already cut out the first sleeve. So here is the second sock. I've already cut it open and pressed it. And now I'm flipping the sleeve over. I don't think it really matters with this particular one because the sleeve is pretty much symmetrical. But to be on the safe side, to make sure you have a left and a right sleeve, go ahead and flip that pattern piece over to cut out the second sleeve. So here are your sleeves cut out. And then you got your two back pieces cut out from the cuff and the front piece cut out from the cuff. So the sleeves are cut out from the foot of the sock, and the bodice pieces are cut out from the leg of the sock. So here you're going to line up, and you're basically following the instructions in the pattern. And again, I will link that pattern in the show notes. It is a free pattern for A Girl for All Time dolls, and it is on the Pixie Fair site. It's a Liberty Jane pattern. So you're going to pin both back pieces at the shoulder, making sure you align the shoulder edges. And then you're going to take it over to your sewing machine or hand stitch it if you prefer. If you hand stitch, I'd use a back stitch. Sewing machine, use the stitch that works for your machine. You may have to play with your machine a little bit to fine tune it, but there's plenty of extra sock to practice on. So I've already sewn the shoulder seams and pressed the seams open. So now you're going to fold the sleeve portion in half to find the center. And once you find the center of the sleeve, you're going to line it up with the shoulder seam and then pin it in place. And I start out by pinning the center sleeve to the shoulder seam, and then I align the each edge of the sleeve with the point on the bodice. And then I did not show this, but I actually I keep pinning. I pin it till I align the entire top portion of the sleeve to the arm side. So anyway, here we go. I've already sewn the sleeves on, and I realized that I did not show you that I actually folded up the cuff, pressed it, and then sewed a seam there as well on to hem the sleeves. Of course, you could leave that raw and roll the edges, and I'll show you how that's done in a few minutes. Okay, so again, we're just following the instructions in the sewing pattern and sewing the underarm seam and the side seams. So I've done that, and sometimes it'll stretch at the hem there because of the cuff being thicker. So if it does, just even it out, make it a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. Okay, so here's where you roll. You just pull the sock and stretch it, and because it's a knit, it's naturally going to roll to the right side. So here you can also, if you like, follow the instructions in the pattern and fold your neckline in and hem it according to the pattern. But I like the look of the raw edge with the little roll. And you would also follow the pattern instructions to apply your Velcro, or if you want to use snaps instead, you would apply snaps here. And here is the finished sweater. You'll see the rolled neckline, and I use 3/4 inch sleeves when I lengthen my sleeve pattern piece. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the notification button, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.